Hey guys, ThatOneFurry here, and I have something to say. So, today's topic is going to be on stan culture, and I have my notes in front of me of what I want to tackle with stan culture. I'm in another piano practice room. My usual recording, I guess I shouldn't call it a studio, it's a room. It's occupied, so I have to do a different one that I have to speak a little bit quieter. But, which is ironic since these are supposed to be soundproof. But anyway, I first want to get into what is a stan, and I can give you my own definition, but I also want to give you like the Urban Dictionary definition of what is a stan. But in my own words, a stan is someone who, supports an artist, a group, just an artist in general, whether it be music, artists in general, some type of arts thing, or just generally you support that person, you stan that person, as in you support that person. But Google or Urban Dictionary will tell you that a stan is an overzealous or obsessive fan of a particular celebrity. As a verb, it's to be an overzealous or obsessive fan of a particular celebrity. But it's used in a sentence, I stand for Katy Perry, so I was excited to see the artwork for her upcoming album. And I think that really hits the nail on the mark. It's an overzealous, obsessive need to support someone who doesn't, you can subjective whether or not you think they should or shouldn't, but that's not the point. It's just an obsessive fan, which goes into fanatic, which is where fan comes from to begin with. But what stans do, of course, they support the artists. They also can be pretty abusive. I want to talk about that for a second. There's the flaming and doxing of people if you don't like them, or they don't support your person, or they criticize the person that you like, your fave. There's rules and exceptions about people surrounding stan culture. There's making, in my opinion, of stans making artists mediocre, opinions not being allowed, and neither is solidarity. We're going to tackle that as well. And then lastly, the sheep-like mentality of stans. So what stans do, they support artists. They are always interested in what that artist is doing. This obsessive need to be inserted into their lives, like they need to be a part of that person's life in some way, shape, or form, it's not healthy. I don't believe it's healthy. It's an obsessive need, which borders on, I forget the word for it, but it's not a very healthy need. Supporting people is good. Like, you want to have fans that support you, but then you also have these, I don't want to say crazy because it's ableist, but these, let's just say these cuckoo people who will go the extra mile and start stalking every single thing that you're on, every piece of social media they're following. They need to know every single update about your life every single day. And it's really creepy. It's unsettling to think about someone investing that much of their time and life into someone else who's not them. And there's a lot of projection with that. You're projecting what you want, and I'm going to get into that later. You're projecting what you want from that person onto that person when it's their art, their whatever, and they should be able to do whatever they want with it. There's also the abuse. You have mobs of people who will go after someone because they said something about someone they don't like. Or should I say, they go after your fave, or they say something about your fave in which you'll all start going after this person because they dared to criticize them. And you can excuse it as trolling, but because people are allowed to say what they want on the internet. In real life too, we have freedom of speech. You're not, as long as it's not like a harmful ideology, or you're advocating for that person's harm, or a group of people to have harm, you can say whatever you want. If you don't like Beyonce, you can say you don't like Beyonce. However rude, or whatever their opinion might be of that person, even if they're being nasty, it's who cares? You like that person, groups of people like that person, so who cares if this one person doesn't like your fave? It doesn't matter. But you will have these groups of people who will go after these people on an online setting and, abuse them, message them these very nasty things because they don't like your fave, so they must be a hater, they must be a troll themselves, which is ironic since you're trolling them. They will flame them, which is just flooding their inbox with messages. They will dox them, and if you don't know what doxing is, it's finding out someone's personal information and broadcasting it on the internet, putting it, like finding their Facebook or something, and then, like you're putting all the information on Twitter, because this is where most of this happens, probably Twitter and Tumblr mostly, or Reddit as well. And you'll have these people who do this, like they'll make their whole lives a second job for supporting, because at this point you're not supporting someone. If you're flaming, doxing, and harassing people, you're not supporting them, you're just being an asshole. And moving on, there's the rules and exceptions. Like, there are many people who don't do this. Not all stans are crazy, cuckoo people, but the majority of them are. We're not going to pretend like they aren't. The majority of them are abusive. Majority of them who say they support these people will flame others because they don't like that person, and it's just not human, in my opinion. It's not a human thing to do, to have such apathy for someone who does not like someone that you like, that you take it upon yourself to make it a whole second job to harass them. So, there are exceptions to that, but the rule is that this happens majority of the time, especially with big people like Beyonce or Katy Perry or Taylor Swift, like A-list celebrities, whether it be actors or this mostly happens, I observe, in a music setting. So singers or bands, those types of people will have these obsessive type fans who will take it upon themselves to go the extra mile and do these like very creepy, weird things. And moving on to my next point, because this is separate from this. This is about making artists mediocre, and this is my personal opinion of what stans do to artists. They project these wants onto these artists so much that I believe that they're making them mediocre. Like, I'm gonna use Nicki Minaj as an example here. A lot of people wanted Rap Nicki, so Rap Nicki came back and had these albums and everything. A lot of people want Pop Nicki. Pop Nicki can't exist because these people want Rap Nicki all the time, but some people want Pop Nicki, and it's like, regardless of what these conflicting people want, what does Nicki the artist want, and are you going to support her in whatever endeavor she does? We don't allow artists to experiment with their sound and be able to grow as an artist, because we want to pigeonhole them into this category that we can forever feel comfortable with because it suits our needs. But if you're going to be a real fan of an artist, you need to be supportive of what they want to do with their work, because it is their art first and foremost. And some people just aren't on board with that idea. They just want these artists to basically do their bidding, and if it's not their way, it's the highway. And I think that's what really makes a lot of these artists mediocre. They are unable to grow because their fans want something that they want to move past, or that they're done doing, or whatever the case may be. And my next point, because I want to get through this video really quickly since it's a Friday video, is opinions aren't allowed. Like, you're not allowed to have an opinion, a conflicting opinion, with what the rest of the sheep-like flock thinks. Like, if everyone likes this song and you happen to not like this song, regardless of whether or not you still like the artist, if you don't like this song, you are now the enemy. Everyone does not like you. And again, this goes back to, of course, this is not all the time. You have a lot of exceptions to this, but the rule is that if you are on board, then you are the enemy. You are the villain. You are the Chun-Li. So you're not allowed to have an opinion that conflicts with what the rest of the flock is saying. If the rest of the flock is saying that, I like X song, so should you, and you say, well, I like the artist, but I don't like X song, then suddenly you're the enemy, regardless of whether or not you're still a supporter. And I think that's a big reason why so many people stop supporting artists, because of their fans. Like, and you can't really blame them for that either. Like, I used to blame people, and I'm going to compare this to religion. I used to blame people in the past, like, why are you letting these bigots push you away from Christianity? Because I am a Christian myself, and like, there's a lot of things you can talk about with Christianity, like a lot of problematic things. And I used to blame people, like, why are you letting these people influence your religion? But then when you see the flip side of this and you experience it yourself, you can be like, well, I guess I can see now why these people do these things and why they stop doing them. Like, I can see why people stop being Christians because of how bigoted, like, other Christians are, how bigoted the translated, because the Holy Bible is translated as fuck. It fits an agenda that existed at the time that still applies to today. So that's a whole other conversation, but I'm just using that as a parallel to this. But for this particular subject, I can see why people would stop supporting an artist because of their fans, because like you're gonna have to deal with fans. You're gonna have to deal with, like, especially if you want to go like to a concert or something. You're gonna have to deal with fans. If you're on an online setting and you want to see this artist, you're gonna have to deal with the fans at some point. Even if you don't even engage in the comments of that person, you could just say something on your own platform and people will come onto your platform and harass you. So, you know, it's very much believable that people will stop supporting someone because of their fans. And another thing is neither is solidarity. Solidarity is not allowed, just like opinions. You know, you can't, for some artists, you are not allowed to like them if they don't like someone, and if you happen to like them and they don't like them, then suddenly you're still the enemy. It's like having a bad opinion, you know, like how dare you like what you personally like versus what this artist likes. And I just think that's the most asinine argument ever. It's not even an argument. Like, you shouldn't even categorize that as an argument, because, you know, you are your own person. You are allowed to have your own taste. If you support someone problematic, that's a whole nother story. But just supporting someone in general because the flock doesn't like them, then, you know, that's pretty stupid. Or I guess that's still ableist. But, you know, I'm unlearning. It's gonna take a while, but, you know, I'm trying. But yeah, so opinions aren't allowed, neither is solidarity. This another example, I'm gonna keep using Nicki Minaj for this because it's like the easiest thing I can think of. Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, you know, like there was this orchestrated beef between them because of the Migos influence, and, you know, the fans of Nicki did not like the fans of Cardi B and vice versa. But if you were one of the rare few that the exceptions that liked them both, then, you know, you were seen as the enemy because you didn't pick a side. You shouldn't ever have to pick a side. You should be able to like what you want to like, as long as that person isn't problematic or does these things where it's unacceptable. And my final point is about, I've been talking about flock this whole video, is the sheep-like mentality of fans. Because a lot of people, there's this like mob hive-like mentality, and I guess the beehive for Beyonce is pretty much the perfect example of that, where you have to all think the same way, you have to all be a certain way, you have to all like a certain thing, you have to all like certain songs. Like, first of all, Beyonce fans don't even like this, so I'm not saying that this is everyone. A lot of people argue, like, what's Beyonce's favorite album? You have the Beehive going at it, like, this is her best album, this is her best album. So that proves already that this is not a monolithic thing, but I'm just saying the general rule is that there is a sheep-like mentality when it comes to general support of a person, an artist, whatever they might be. There is a general hive-like mentality to that. And if you don't fall in line, then you, again, it goes back to what stands do, and you are the enemy. You're not allowed to have your opinion, and solidarity is a myth in more ways than one. So, in general, stan culture is not a good culture. I think blindly following an artist, and that's another thing I want to make about sheep-like mentality, blindly following an artist, because, like, not all artists are good. There's a lot of examples of bad artists. I think one artist I can think of as bad is Taylor Swift and Katy Perry and Justin Timberlake. You can see a theme here, quite the theme. And you have these people, because they're shitty people. You have Katy Perry, who's appropriated black culture and made caricatures of black people in both her music videos and live performances. You have Taylor Swift, the perfect white girl victim who is a snake. There's a reason why people call her a snake, because she's a backstabbing bitch. And then you have Justin Timberlake, who we all know what he did to Janet and completely jeopardized her career, never once took responsibility for that, and actually made fun of that on more than one occasion when he's on, like, Saturday Night Live and stuff like that. So you have bad people already, and then people will blindly follow those bad people regardless of what they've done. And that falls in line with the sheep-like mentality. You know, who cares what they've actually done in life? You know, just bye and keep going with the rest of the flock. But yeah, so that's my video. I just think generally stan culture is bad. You need to make your own opinions of people. You're allowed to have your own opinions of those people. You're allowed to like whatever you want to like, as long as it's not problematic, you know, because if you're supporting someone who's problematic, what does that say about you as a person versus I mean, because they're already shit. That's already established. They're shitty. But what does it say about you who continues to support someone who's shitty? And by supporting them, you're allowing them to have this platform. So tell me what you guys think about stans in the comment. I personally don't even like using the term. I would never use it to, so if I'm a supporter or something, I'm a supporter. I'm not going to stan anything because I'm not an overzealous. I'm not obsessive. You know, I'm not going to break my back to support someone. If I'm able to, I'm able to. But if I'm not, you know, that's them's the breaks. But yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comments. If you like this video, go ahead and click the like button. If you enjoy my content, you know, you can subscribe for more. And, you know, I'll see you guys in the next video.